Hello. Did you like my new opening? It's I was bopping along to it. Um, Hello, everybody. Once again, we are doing the show and saying hello to each other after a bank holiday. This is what it must be like at Atom Bank, where we're having another 4 day week. So I hope you all had a lovely bank holiday. Please do, if even if you're joining for the 15th time, please do say in the comments, say hello, and where are you watching from? Let's all get to know each other a little bit better. Very good. Thanks, Nick. I'm glad you enjoyed the opening. It's a little bit kind of like a morning TV show, isn't it? A bit cheesy, but what the hell. So please, can everybody say hello? And also, where are you watching from? I will kick off. Hello. No, I am in Didcot, which is near Oxford. Ah, change of plan. I'm here, but no bopping music here. Oh, was there no music? You missed the intro, Danny. Anyway, Nick, Danny, where in the world are you? Um, so Nick, thank you. Oh, joining from the lovely Scottish borders. Lovely part of the world. Um, I just thought it'd be good for all of us to say where we are and maybe just keep this coming. If not too many people, here we go. Not so sunny. Scott, good morning from a not so sunny Bridgend in South Wales. So we've got South Wales near Oxford, the lovely Scottish borders. Danny, I want to say I think you're quite close to me. Um, Morning, Martin. Got you on as some background. Well, thank you very much. As long as you don't get the glare off my shiny head. I caught the sun on Saturday. I think it was the only day we had of sunshine. Um, Danny's in the shed quarters in gloomy Stoke. Sky looks like I'm living in a Tupperware box. What a great description. What a great description. Now, Michael, whereabouts in the world are you? Where are you watching from? It would be good to know. Lovely description, Danny. So let's crack on with the show. Oh, look. You're not from Philadelphia. Neris is here. Hello, everyone, in Magor, South Wales. Still in my PJs as my son is in, my bed sick, so I can't disturb him. Weird. That's not weird. Sending our best wishes to your son, Neris, and hope you don't catch it as well. We can't have you out of action. Oh, Michael, you're in Dundee. Who are you a Dundee fan? Didn't they win the second division in or the lit championship this weekend? The football team. Not sure if you follow football. If you ever have a quiz, get me on football. I'm all over it. So let's start with our first question, and there's an ulterior motive here. I want to pick your brains. I really do want to use your answers to help in the team leader community that I've set up. No idea. They did, I think. Okay, so here is today's question. What determines a great contact center team? Um, what are the key components for you guys that you think makes? And I'm sure you've been part of them, led them, worked in them, worked with them, seen them. But what, in your opinion, determines a great contact center team? I'm just going to have a quick coffee. Mm. And I will kick us off. For me, it a great team is determined, or the great teams that I've been lucky enough to be part of have had one common denominator, and that is an amazing esprit de corps. You know, even with other things going on in the company that might not necessarily have always been negative, that our team was like a bubble of progression and fun and being competitive. Here we go. Danny. What could it be? What could it be, I wonder, says Culture Man. Here we go, Danny. Purpose. Why are we here? What are we doing? How do I personally contribute it? And for purpose, you need an aligned culture. So, Danny, what are your thoughts then on what I've just described, where the esprit de corps, the sense of team and togetherness that we created in a team that I was responsible for, was like an island at times within a wider company. Now, were we still inadvertently aligned with our company's culture? I, at first thoughts, I would say at times we were not. We were just doing our own thing. How does that sit with? What's your view on that, Nick? Not just a contact center team, single purpose, individual roles that contribute this, pulling together. It's true. I guess this can be like any team, right? The same is true for everyone. In comes an animal. Yes, couldn't agree more. Love that, Nick. So, Danny, what do you think about the? Can you have aligned culture even within the individual teams? Here we go. Sorry, Nick. Presumably, the customer and their experience is the purpose. The team is interface between the business. The team is the interface between the business and the customer. It seems that purpose is key because Neris, again, clarity of purpose, culture of support, and a karaoke classic to galvanize. Again, with the music, Neris, would that be, something by Will Smith, maybe? Slam Duggan's here. No worries, Phil. Please come in. Let me just show you what you missed. So, say hello and where are you watching from? Now, I think we know, but for people that might be watching this on catch up, they might not know where you are. So, maybe let us know, mate. I know. And this is the question, and I'm sure you'll have a view on this, Phil, and Brooke, if she's with you as well. What determines a great contact center team? So, Danny, here we go. Culture isn't homogenous across, across an organization. There's lots of subcultures, completely natural, and you can't prevent it. As long as the actions and behaviors from those subcultures still drive the team towards the organizational goals, there's no issue at all. That's really interesting. That's great. Forcing all teams to approach and behave the same is the opposite of inclusion too. Very true. Very, very true. I'm glad I wasn't subversive in any way. David, hello. It's great to see you at the forum event, mate. David's been a guest on the podcast. David from Q Story, of course. Clarity of purpose is the key here. If the whole business's purpose and intent is clear to all, the team can flourish. Well, this has been great because I will be sharing within the team leader community that the great minds within our industry, there's a common thread here, isn't there, around purpose. And how do you bring that to life for your team? Is it through repetition and reminding them of the purpose, or are there other ways you can do it? Is it reinforced through things like quality monitoring, feedback and coaching? Does it sort of pin back to the purpose now and again? How do you keep this purpose and this clarity of purpose at the forefront of people's minds? Phil, I'm head of marketing at EC Outsourcing, based in the Northeast with over 1,000 customer service and acquisition advisors in the UK. Love it. Thank you, Phil, mate. Hey up. Here he is. You've missed me having my branded Nespresso, Dan. Hey up, Dan. Dan, you need to say where you are watching from. I think everyone can guess, given the welcoming, but it is great to have you here. And my order went in yesterday for Nespresso, by the way. I'm not sponsored by them. Just love coffee. David, yeah, being consistent. And isn't there something in this as well about reminding people of the higher purpose of what we're doing, helping customers, offering a service? Here we go. Think about values and goals. If these are not aligned, true progress towards goals is difficult. So true, Nick. Um, Without purpose, you can still have fun, but what's next? We've all worked in fun places where the discussion becomes about what's the next event, perk, party, rather than how did this make us better? Very, very true. I worked for, and I won't mention the name, but I worked for a company that was very, very big on events. They were hedonistic beyond belief. And that's all the senior leaders ever talked to us about, whilst there were some behaviors by them within the working months in between these big summer event, autumn event, whatever it may be, where their behavior was awful. And I would say we had a really, really poor culture interspersed with ridiculous events that everyone loved because it was a chance to let loose. But that wasn't, as for a studying culture, that was very, very interesting, Danny. And it's, I love this, what you said here. Hey up, Duck. Now we've got Phil and Dan just communicating in a language we don't all understand. I'm I'm being facetious. Sorry, guys. The value they are contributing to the overall and team purpose management, recognizing their value. So true, Neris, isn't it? It's about talking about you're not just dealing with one transaction after another. You're helping the entire organization deliver for customers. Mr. Jordan's a superstar within the community. Mr. Start, joining from the great and sunny Manchester. I agree, purpose is very important and gives a reason to come in. Work environment, at least their team, has to be awesome. So true. And I'm lucky enough to catch up with Jordan quite often, and I know he is absolutely living these values over and over again. So, brilliant, Neris, says David. Everyone needs to feel valued. So true. So true. And it's kind of dispelling that the myth that some people, especially our colleagues on the phones, may have that they're just a number. Here we go. I'm in Hoyton, Merseyside, by the way. Sun is shining on God's own country today. Good. We're glad it's shining somewhere. David, are you red or blue? By the way, I think I asked you this when we met. Not to take it off on football again, but um, loud and clear. I'm hearing you, and I will definitely. I share these videos within the team leader community, so I think this point about purpose is a great one. Scott, a great contact center team is only as good as their team manager, leading by example, defining purpose, and building a positive community. I'm drawn to the laissez-faire leadership model, which gives team empowerment and creativity. I would tend to agree with you, a kind of laissez-faire approach where you're calm, relaxed, um, you're very good at delegating, and look, you give people space to be able to be creative and take ownership. I think is brilliant. So, kindred spirit there, Scott. Oh dear, David, you're red. Okay, we are not going to be talking about the Tottenham Liverpool game of a couple of weeks ago. I'm still mentally scarred from that. Okay, it is time. You can tell I've had an extra day. You'll be very pleased to know it is going to be time for another VT. Okay, so get ready, everybody. It's time for your input. Did you like that, VT? I think I can find a better one than that. It's no read along, VT, is it, Phil? So I need your help. We're gonna please use your QR code, hold it up to the screen, or go to menti.com and enter the code 25428577. If you are watching this on catch up, this will still be live, so you can absolutely take part. But we are now going to go, and here's a question. So hopefully you've got the instructions. Here's a question. What should be the main focus this year for contact centers? And I know we're in May, but let's say for the rest of the year. So you can only choose one, or you can say other and then comment in the comments section of the live. Tell me what you think should be there if it isn't culture, customer experience, or focusing on improving your technology. So winning so far is culture. And I'm glad because I know, Danny, you were potentially going to miss the live. Oh, look at this. Technology improvements are coming first. Then in a dead heat, culture and customer experience. Danny, it's an ever changing message here. This is like final score. So focus on customer experience to start with. It seems to be the main the favorite for prioritization, followed by culture, followed by technology improvements. Now, and again, if I've missed anything, please comment on the live and we'll get to it in a sec. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And I'm sure, you'd like to be able to, of course, you will be focusing on more than one. But I thought if you just had what's the one main focus you're going to go for, or you think should be the focus for contact centers. And customer experience is an interesting one, isn't it? Because um, despite improvements in technology, despite improvements in awareness and understanding and training and our flexibility as an industry, you still see a lot of our customer satisfaction scores across the industry are still low. We still have a lot of work to do. So I would tend to agree with that. And as I say, I will leave this poll open for another day and then share the results. So all you have to do is go to menti.com and use the code 25428577 and you can have your vote too. So, what comments did I miss? Amazing. Thank you. Thanks, Danny. Yes, yes, yes. Love you, Martin. Oh, thank you. I love you too. I know. Oh, was this the live updates as to when it was changing? Through improving your technology, you can positively impact your colleague experience, customer experience, and support your culture. Good point, David. Um, Colleague experience is absolutely vital. With culture comes good experiences. Which impacts negative CX more, poor culture or poor tech deployment? Wow, that is a great question. David Priest, sounds like you're saying happy bees make tasty honey. Oh, hi, Sarah. Ah, Sarah's awesome. You need to fully understand your customer needs, desires, and ambitions to then inform the right technology. Very true. David Priest, I was just about to say, this should be number one, as all of the others can hang off this. Oh, interesting. Interesting opinions here, everybody. Hi, Nick, by the way, as well. Sorry, Nick. Great to see you. Caught up with Nick last week. Awesome guy. If we can connect this with the earlier question around purpose, then CX is the reason for contact centers to exist. Creating a great culture contributes greatly. Very true. Okay. Neris, this is from Danny. Great question. I found that imperfect tech experience can be plastered over by great people. Great tech can be undermined by disengaged people. Very true. All the gear and no idea, I guess, right? Um, so that has prompted a lot of interesting um, conversation. And this, Neris, I love, as I love this. Great points, everybody. Great points. So now we come to a favorite part of the show because it gives me another opportunity to run another VT. Okay, if you are ready, we are going to carry on with the read along of Contact Babel's Decision Maker Guide for 2023. And as I've said before, much like is it the Forth Bridge in Scotland, where it used to say to paint it, it would take a year or however long. Once you finish painting it, you would then have to start and go back and paint the other way. So maybe by the time we finish this, the guide for 2024 will be out. But we are at the section right now of callbacks. So here we have the proportion of customers in the telephony queue accepting the offer of a callback. So from all the decision makers that were surveyed within Contact Babel's report, they found that in their operations, less for 70% of the respondents found that less than 25% of people were accepting the offer of a callback within the telephony queue. And Forth Rail Bridge, I believe. Thank you, Nick. I was hoping for a view from Scotland to just check that that there was some validity to what I was saying. But isn't this interesting? And I think it points to when customers have made the decision to call us, that they are not going to accept a callback. They would rather queue and wait. And again, my favorite section, favorite respondents, well done to the 10% that said that they don't know. Keep answering those surveys saying don't know. Danny, for me, that makes sense. If I'm calling web chat in a contact center, I've exhausted the self-serve options first. I don't want to call back. Yes, yeah, very true. And I think you would expect to see it that high. The next section following this asked the respondents of the survey the effectiveness of telephony callback functionality. And you can see here the green is very useful, yellow fairly useful, red not useful against these measures here. So managing call volumes was considered very useful 54% of the time, fairly useful 37%. So managing call volumes and also improving customer satisfaction and experience scored positively. All of the others, less so. What surprised me here was maximizing sales opportunities. I know from sales teams that I was part of, getting our callback strategy right was a big determinator of whether we did well or not. So these are not effective from a sales point of view. I found slightly surprising, and I guess that's because it's the extent to which the customer chooses whilst in that queue. And there is a similar story when callbacks are offered on websites. So you can see here that pretty mixed bag actually on whether offering callbacks through the website improves customer satisfaction. 40% responded that it was very useful, 30% fairly useful. Managing call volumes again didn't seem to have much of an impact. A more positive response for sales on website callbacks. So that is the callback section completed. We're up to about 260 pages now of the Contact Babel report. So we're doing really well. We're coming to some interesting parts. So I found this part interesting. So we have the virtual contact center. There's a whole section now on the virtual contact center, and you can see here by sector, which I found really interesting, the extent to which, so the gray is that they have a single contact center, and I'm assuming this is bricks and mortar. Yellow is multiple standalone operations. Dark blue is a multiple dash single virtual contact centers, and green is multiple mix of virtual and standalone. And you can see a bit, whilst the average had 30% have uh, single virtual contact centers and a small amount of a mix, 50% still just have one contact center. Housing definitely sticks out, doesn't it? That in 82% of the respondents just have one contact center, with transport and travel having the most variety, I guess, and also outsourcing, which again would make sense because they have multiple locations, probably here and offshore as well. What are the effects of contact center virtualization? Another nice buzz phrase there. So, by far the most positive impact was the handling of call spikes. That if your um, in-person contact center can't handle it, your virtual contact center can, and the same with agent utilization and queue lengths. I'm assuming you have the same thoughts of me on the virtual contact center and its impact. In that, there's not many comments coming. Now, let's find. So, something we've all talked about post pandemic, okay, is how are we as an industry now when it comes to hybrid, working from home? Well, to give you some stats now to better inform your conversations, let's have a look at this. So, the proportion of agents using home, hybrid, or centralized at work model by contact center size. So you can see that as of right now, the average here is 30% of people out in the industry are now back at a contact center. 52% are in a hybrid model, and 19% are still, I would say still because of the pandemic, still fully at home. And unlike a lot of the other reports that we've shared on this show, you can see that there isn't that much difference from small, medium, and large in how they're set up. Where in a lot of the other reports we've seen, there's normally a big difference, isn't there, from the large contact centers. Does this reflect what you've been thinking in terms of where are we as an industry? Is everyone back at work? Is everyone working from home? Does this surprise you? Does it reassure you? What do you think? So 30% are now back in the contact center, 52% are operating in a hybrid model, and 19% are fully at home. What do you think? Maybe this will help as well. Let's have a look at this. Now, sorry, Nick has a comment here. The challenge with virtual contact center ops is that companies switched people who had been recruited to work in a center over to working from home or hybrid. Great care has to be taken to have people working in an environment where they feel safe, comfortable, connected, and valued. Couldn't agree more, Nick. Now then, the proportion of agents homeworking by year, and with this year as an estimate for the full year. But you can see here in 2019, we had 57% of the agent workforce with none of them were working at home. And pandemic hits, and you can see the numbers there. Um, where now more than 50, so in 71% of the of occasions, more than 50% are working from home. This number has crept up, hasn't it? There's 7% no longer working at home. Not surprised. I think everyone is still trying to figure out what is best. despite the apparent experts in this subject. So hybrid having the majority is expected. Very, very true. We are all still trying to figure it out, aren't we? What do you guys think um, about the best way of us proceeding? Do you think hybrid without any parameters? Do you think hybrid but with set days to come back in? Do you think it is best to return? And of course, this is very, very nuanced question, isn't it? And it depends on the role. Um, Here we go. Nick Sellers, it's a good point. If you sign on for X role and it's not congruent, it can force people to work in a way that's not congruent with their values. And that's where toxicity comes into play. I read an interesting report on toxicity in hybrid environments. In short, moving from office based to hybrid remote doesn't have a tangible impact on the toxicity of the environment. Interesting. Maybe you could share that report, Danny. Sounds interesting. Neris, this is reflective of what I see. There is quite a continuum for hybrid, though, as this could go from all training in the bricks and mortem. I've done it again. I've got a mental tick. Bricks and mortar, not bricks and Mortimer. That's Reeves and Mortimer. All training in the bricks and mortar center, then work from home versus 1 day a month back in the office. Certainly, if you are a regular viewer of youth and pop culture, if it's reflected in TikTok, that is, there are a lot of there's a lot of content around come back to the office because of the great culture, and then it cuts to a video of a very boring office with hardly anyone in it. And I think that's really important, isn't it? I would like to think in our industry that our contact centers are certainly never boring, and the environment that we ask people to come into, if we're asking them to come back, um, does reflect the fact that we want to be engaging, we want to energize people and make it worth their while to come back because of the human connections that they can form that can help support them through the trials and tribulations of doing a difficult job. Um, I do park and sharpit campooing. Don't sweat it. I don't. It just pops up now and again. Thank you though, mate. Nick, I'd be interested to see those stats plotted against productivity, performance, people's well-being. Has the shift from office-based to hybrid, or whichever combination, led to a better or worse working environment? So true. ACAS, I saw very recently, have updated their managing people's mental health. And if you read into the details, some of it was because of a greater proportion of people still working from home and prompting managers to make sure they are having more regular check ins. And I guess that prompt is because you feel like you have to prompt people to make sure they're checking in with their team rather than being able to see them check in with their team because they're all in the same location. I always use an anecdote, and I'd love your views on this. How do you replicate this? I can remember from being an agent at the end of a particularly tough shift, I had a customer on the phone who was just shouting at me continually. I hadn't done anything wrong, by the way, neither had the company, but the customer was just shouting a lot. And when the call finished, I took my headset and kind of threw them on the desk and just had my head in my hands. And the guy that was sat next to me, a guy called Mark, my kind of pod buddy, just turned to me and went, "Best call you ever had?" And that moment just made me laugh so much. It enabled me to put my headset back on straight away and get out of rap and make myself available. And I just that moment there where the person I was sat next to helped me over a hurdle. How does that, if that very same situation, how can you do that when people are working from home? Has anyone got any tips or what do you think? Here we go, Scott. I feel there are two types of company offering hybrid remote. Those who embrace the post pandemic shift to working from home, recognizing both the work life balance impact to employees and the potential savings in office footprint reduction. Yes, very, very true. Very true. This is a fascinating subject, and I make a note. Maybe we should have this as our discussion point next week, um, because Dan, as you said earlier, Dan Cohen, there's a lot of people talking about this, and surely we are best placed, aren't we? You guys are best placed to be able to comment and make a determination. The other are those who offer working from home because they were losing employees to other companies who offered better working options. So I guess the latter group, Scott, have a less well thought out strategy because they're reacting to losing team members. Interesting that the more than 50% category remains consistent while none is growing, an indicator of how companies and their customer service teams judge success. Very interesting question. Very interesting question. Um, so we are coming towards the end. If you could just give me a moment, I just need some. People keep asking me what I do. So here's, if you can, please, can you help me? Because I am, as you know, self-employed, and I'm about 100 and I'll tell you exactly because my stepdaughter put a widget on my phone. I'm 128 days in. I'm still surviving. We haven't yet needed to resort to eating cardboard, but I could do with your help. So I operate in two ways. I have Get Out of Rap, this TV show, the podcast, and going to see people, going to see teams, doing some training, whatever it may be. If you can help by helping me find sponsors, sharing speaking opportunities, and just sharing Get Out of Rap with the people that you meet. I do have a couple of spaces left for sponsors on my partner roster, which is a nice term that I used, that I found and I'm using a lot. So that's one part of my world. The other part is the team leader community, where I must spend about 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day in the community. We have about 110 members at the moment from 8 different sectors, loads of different companies. They're team leaders, team managers, or senior agents. And it is a great place for them to. I put all of my content there. I do lives like this there. We're going to be having guest speakers and webinars. Um, do you know people that have team leaders or team managers? If so, can you refer them to the team leader community? Can you just share the community? And also, would you like to contribute? Would you like to come in and talk to the team leaders and team managers? Would you like to do a virtual event or just be someone in there to act as a virtual member? Um, Thank you, Danny. Yeah, 110. Lovely, lovely people, including Jordan, who was within the first 100 and is an absolute legend in the community. So this is what I do, and if you can help me in any way, I would really, really appreciate it. Sorry about that. I promise it won't happen very often. So I hope you have enjoyed the show. Please do stick around for the end credits. You might have figured out what happens with them, but it's been great to spend some time with you. It's my favorite hour of the week. And I hope to see you next Tuesday, everybody.